Welcome to this episode of the Biology of Trauma podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Aimie. One of the most challenging aspects of the healing journey is to know how to safely access what is stored in our body. How do we safely open up this pain, fear, overwhelm that's been stored in our body often for decades? This particular episode was inspired by a question from Jessica in Utah, who posted a question on my YouTube channel asking, my body goes into an energy crash after many of my therapy sessions. I know I need to get this stuff out, but is this normal? Because I'm having a hard time functioning and having the energy and focus to work for a day or so after my therapy sessions. I will circle back and answer your question at the end, Jessica. Here's what you'll learn in this episode: why over 90% of us live primarily in our heads, how we can use disconnection as a way to recognize whether our body is holding trauma, and the concept from my book on the critical line of overwhelm, and why trying to work with stress before addressing our shutdown response can create setbacks. I even guide a somatic safety self-practice in this episode involving the stomach. Whether you're a practitioner interested in the science and its application, or someone navigating your own healing journey, this episode offers practical information and tools to know how to safely open up stored experiences in the body, especially once one has a chronic physical health condition. Quick reminder that 2 episodes a week are released, and to subscribe so that you don't miss an important one. And with that, let's dive in. I'm excited to share with you what I have learned about accessing the body's wisdom safely opening up what our body has been holding, and what insights you will have about yourself, your life, your health, even coming out of this time together. And so I want to start with a question. I want to experiment and see right now. I want you to check your body, and what area of your body do you not really feel right now? Notice if there's any area of your body that you don't feel as much right now. We're just noticing. Are you noticing your feet? Do you feel your feet much, or your feet kind of feel so far away you don't really feel them that much? Or maybe it's just all of your legs. Or maybe it's your hands and your arms, your stomach. It's just, I don't feel that area of my body very much right now. And when that happens, we just notice like, oh, I'm in my head. I'm not actually fully connected and in my body. I'm more in my head. This happens a lot. In my years of working with thousands of people now, young, old, professionals, parents, and even practitioners like therapists and other body-based people, over 90% of us live primarily in our heads, disconnected from our body, which means from our body's wisdom. We're like head floating on a stick. We're analyzing everything. We're thinking about everything. We're even thinking about what our feelings are rather than actually feeling them. And this used to be me. And what I've discovered is that this disconnection is not just a mental state. It's actually a sign that we have trauma biology in our body. It's one of the aspects of the wisdom of our body that you're going to learn about today. And what makes this so serious and something that will derail your life, your relationships, and your health in ways that you never would want it to, is that this is at a cellular level. This disconnection that we have is at the cellular level. Let me explain what I mean. Think about the last time that you felt overwhelmed. Maybe it was during a conflict. We hate those moments in relationships. Or maybe it was a moment when your to-do list felt impossibly long. Or when you were trying to help someone you love who was resistant and not open to your assistance, and we felt like our hands were tied behind our back. What did you notice in your body at that moment? What did you notice in your body at that moment? Did you notice a tightening in your stomach? Did you notice your breath catch? Did you notice aches and pains? Did you wake up with back pain the next day or neck kink that you thought was just a neck kink, not realizing, oh, that was connected to that emotional overwhelm because I was just thinking that was emotional. We haven't realized that it's actually at the biology level. And so the challenging thing is that we haven't recognized how all of this is so connected and we cannot separate what happens in our mind from our emotions to our physical health. And so, what I want to share with you today is how we can use our physical health and these sensations from our body to access the wisdom in our body. Now, what wisdom am I talking about? I am talking about how your body holds things. Mhm. I want you to just make that motion with me. Holds things. Your body is holding things. Our body does that to try to help us because it feels if it can hold something, well, then it might be able to prevent that same type of thing from happening in the future. Right? So it holds it so that we make sure and not repeat that again. And yet, boy, do we still seem to repeat patterns in our life, don't we? Very common where just because we're holding that, just because our body is holding it, doesn't mean that it's actually done what it was intended to do to protect us. And so, as we're looking at how we shift this, we need to learn how to shift our trauma biology into a biology of safety. And one of the challenges that we will have that I'm going to share with you today is that because we've been living this way for so long, it's going to be a very big change for our body to learn to do something different. These are survival patterns that have become our normal, all the default. We don't even think about it anymore. We just are on default mode for how we respond to people, problems, and places. That's our neuroplasticity at work for us. And so the challenge here will be okay, like today, we're going to notice, we're going to learn the body's wisdom and what all it is holding. Holding. What is your body holding? And how can we shift that when this is what it has done for so long? That this is the only way it really knows how to survive and get us through life. The body's wisdom, safely accessing the body's wisdom. And I want to stress that. We want to safely access the body's wisdom because there is a way to not safely access it. The body holds wisdom in terms of what is a stress for the body versus what is a trauma for the body. Does your body's wisdom say you've experienced more trauma than what you have thought? So let's look at exactly how the body experiences trauma because this will tell you the difference between stress and trauma. It starts with the startle. So the startle is the first step. And the startle is that moment when we realize something might be wrong. We don't know if it's true or not. We just know that something might be wrong. We hear a noise. We smell something or we see something and we have that initial startle. We can feel that in our body. And it's that moment where our body says, oh, pay attention. Something might be wrong. And the moment that our body, our nervous system confirms that this is a danger, this is a real danger, then it's going to increase our energy and it will go into the stress biology. And there's a degree of energy that it creates. It's going to use adrenaline to create that energy. It's very fast energy. This is what allows us to jump out of the way of an oncoming car without thinking about it first, because adrenaline is that quick at being able to activate and give us energy. But it builds, and it builds based on the size of the danger that we perceive is there. And as something becomes so big, it feels like it threatens our life. The moment that we feel that we are powerless against that we are trapped, that's when our body crosses this line that I call the critical line of overwhelm. And rather than staying in this, I think I have a chance, let me give it my best shot, it goes into a trauma response or trauma biology that says, I shouldn't even try because there's no point. I'm powerless. I'm trapped. I'm all alone. And this feels like it's so big, it might consume me. And so, with that, our body, our biology shifts, and it's a dramatic shift. You might have felt this dramatic shift before, where all of a sudden it feels like your energy just tanked. All of a sudden, you went from feeling like you could scale any mountain and do anything, you could do superhuman things. And all of a sudden, you feel so heavy, it's hard. It's hard to think. It's hard to move. And if you could, what you would really want to do is just curl up into a ball and just pull the covers over your head. Hide away, not be seen, not be bothered. Your body has gone into shutdown. And so this critical line represents the difference between stress biology and trauma biology. And one of the aspects that we get to learn from the wisdom of our body is looking back at past experiences. Did I feel a lot of energy, like I was taking action because I thought that I could? Did I overcome it with lots of, I want to say just lots of energy? Or did I feel like I became overwhelmed by it and it was heavy and it was hard and I had to push myself rather than just feel like naturally I had all the energy in the world? And that's what we want to look at is how did you feel inside? That's what's key. And so as we look at how to access that body's wisdom, it's not looking at what we did, it's looking at how did it feel inside. Now, here's the most common misunderstanding though, is that until we know that sequence, what many people will do is they'll start working on their trauma or they'll start working on creating change in their life, maybe coping mechanisms or relationship counseling, not realizing that they can't just start anywhere. They have to follow this sequence. Because once our body has gone to that place, and it's been holding that, we need to allow it to let it go in order for us to get back to our true selves and create the life, the relationships, and the health that we want. As long as our body is still holding that overwhelm, it keeps us trapped because we protect it, we hold it, which means we can't do all of the growth that we want to do. We can't have the health that we want to do because we're busy holding this overwhelm. Our body protects it well, which means that it only has so much energy for the rest of our life. So our body, even though it had this experience before in our life, what happens then is that the body holds that. And here's why that is significant. As we look back on what the body gets stuck in a loop, we can see that it will loop between the two survival states of our body. What are those two survival states? Those two survival states are the stress and the overwhelm. What we are looking at is the science. And so our bodies will have similarities with other animals because they have the same kind of nervous system, which is beautiful because then the science gives us the sequence and the structure for what to do about it. So let me look at that because I want to share with you the most common misunderstanding that I see happen because we're not aware of the science that gives us the sequence. So as we go back and we look at that sequence, we see that The sequence is that we go into the startle, we have this activation, and it builds and builds and builds and builds until this level of panic because it feels like we are trapped and powerless and our life is at threat. And so then our body shuts us down in order to help us survive what feels like an inescapable life threat. But here's what happens is that this sequence is what we need to use to come back out. So once we recognize that, oh, my body has been holding overwhelm, we need to learn how to come out of that. And then we can work with the fear and the anxiety and the stress that put us into that place. But until we work with this, the actual trauma response and shutdown, the work that we do with anxiety, with stress is not going to be as effective because we're not actually working and releasing the overwhelm that our body has been holding. The most common misunderstanding is that we're not understanding that the path in or out of that trauma gives us the sequence. We want to understand the path that our body takes into shutdown and how it comes back out because it's the same path. There is no shortcut. And so the science of the steps gives us the sequence, which is wonderful because now we can know what to do, not just have this information, but part of the body's wisdom is that it gives us exactly what we need to do, the steps out and the sequence out. So we need to look at, well, what does my body need to let go and open up these places that it's holding overwhelm? What does my body need to open up these places that are shut down? What are the places in my body that are still holding this shutdown? Because that's what we need to open up. And as we open those up, our body will say, whoa, thank you. Now I can come back alive. And we're going to be looking at having more anxiety, more stress, more anger for a period of time, which is why we need to learn how to work with that. And then it follows the line all the way back to calm aliveness. But this is what people will misunderstand if they don't understand the science, is that they're thinking, wait a second, why am I experiencing more anxiety? Why am I experiencing anger? Well, without knowing the science, you're going to think that you're doing it wrong. And that's not true. And without knowing the skills, your body's not going to be able to tolerate this level of fear and anxiety and panic. And so it's going to go right back into shutdown where you've just worked so hard to get out of. And so what we want to do is we want to learn, okay, I want to learn the skills for safely opening up my body's wisdom, opening up these places that have been shut down, that have felt overwhelmed. We're going to open that up. And then I need to learn the skills for moving through this. I don't want to get stuck here. And I don't want to live the rest of my life in shutdown. And so we look at, how do I need to move through this? That needs something different than the shutdown. So the shutdown, and now I'm going to start teaching you the essential sequence. Are you ready? I'm going to start teaching you the essential sequence. So the essential sequence, we start working with the shutdown, and what it needs is safety. The primary thing that it needs is safety. Once it feels safe, it knows the danger is over. Now it can come out and open up just like a turtle that hides itself inside the shell. It's not going to poke its head out until it knows that the danger is gone. Our bodies don't know that the danger is over. And so as we open this up with safety, now we're going to be like, okay, woof, here's some anxiety, here's some anger. What does that need? Stress needs a felt sense of support, because it's when we feel all alone that we go into overwhelm. And so by creating a felt sense of support, we're able to stay with that stress and move through it with the different skills that we can learn so that we don't once again feel all alone and go back into overwhelm and shut down. So again, The essential sequence is we start working with the shutdown. We don't try to first work with the stress. We first work with the shutdown. Then we learn to work with stress, and they need different things. Shutdown needs safety. Stress needs a felt sense of support, to not be alone, to not feel alone. And then as we come back here to calm aliveness, now we can work on expansion. Expansion looks like going from a place of shutdown. And again, this is just how we feel inside, not necessarily what it looks like on the outside. But we go from a place of shutdown and we go learn how to work with the stress, and we go all the way to where our bodies are thriving. So it literally is that expansion, that journey from surviving, shut down, surviving, stress, surviving, thriving. And this is where we can then do more expansion in our life. We can do more expansion in our life when we have this aspect of, I know how to work through the shutdown. I know how to work with the stress. And now I can expand, meaning I can stretch and grow in my life and do it in a way that doesn't break me because I'm trying to do too much, or I'm trying to do more than what my body feels is safe to do because it's still trying to hold on to overwhelm and keep me small to keep me safe. Even processing old stories like our childhood is a form of expansion. We need tools before we do that. If we don't know how to help our body open up the shutdown, trying to do early child work or working with stories of the past will just put us back into the shutdown. And so there is this sequence that we want to follow in order to be able to safely access our body's wisdom. It's how the body feels inside. And why is that important? That is important because this is happening at the cellular level. We often have misunderstood that we can have a feeling or we can have a thought even, and it only be at that level. And what I want to share with you is that no, this is happening at a biology level. And what that means is that it affects our metabolism, meaning we're going to have energy problems. We might have weight problems. It's going to affect our metabolism. It's going to increase the amount of toxins and specifically oxidative stress. These are natural toxins that our body makes in the process of making energy. But when our body goes into trauma biology and shuts down, we don't clean out the trash. And so we get this accumulation of oxidative stress. And that's what actually drives most of our disease. And that's why we can experience adversity and trauma in our childhood and it show up as adulthood chronic illness because of the oxidative stress. It affects the extracellular matrix, which is the space between our cells and the scaffolding and the structure and the support. And that just kind of collapses. And the lymphatic flow gets affected. Blood flow gets affected. Our digestive system gets affected. Our neurotransmitters become imbalanced. Our hormones become imbalanced. And our immune system gets affected. And a trauma biology is one of inflammation. And so in thinking of your life, your physical health, not just diagnoses that you've had, but just physical health, what are areas in which you recognize, oh, I might have trauma biology? This might represent trauma biology. Do you have gut issues? Most people do when their bodies are holding onto overwhelm because it gets stored in our nervous system, shutting everything down, and it shuts down essential aspects of our digestive system. Chronic pain is trauma biology. Brain fog is a sign of brain inflammation, which is trauma biology. Every time our body goes into overwhelm, it triggers brain inflammation. That's why it makes us tired, gives us that mental fatigue. We find that it's hard to make even simple decisions, and we just feel low. Our brain doesn't want to do anything. It needs everything super easy. And if it's not super easy, then we're yelling at people because they're making our life harder. Or maybe the lights are on and we don't want them on, or maybe it's too bright or it's too loud. All of these things that start to come in are signs of trauma biology because our body is already in overwhelm. It can't take any more. And so this is the significance. And I really want to pause right here and make sure that this is landing for you, because as a physician, what I saw in my patients and myself is that what I had thought was just emotional overwhelm was making me sick. So let me share with you a few stories, because there have been many people before you who are like, I don't have trauma. I don't like to use that word because there is such a stigma around it. So if you want to use the word overwhelm instead, that is fine. But when we look at how the body experiences trauma at a cellular level, it gives us insight into what will happen. And this was Laura. So Laura, she had early attachment overwhelm, but did not know it, not until she accessed her body's wisdom. And how she accessed her body's wisdom was by developing autoimmunity by her early 20s. She got multiple sclerosis. She had had a great family growing up. But as she went back and she was able to access her body's wisdom, her body said, well, I experienced overwhelm. Whether you recognize it or not, this is what I'm holding. And so it doesn't matter the story of the past. What matters is knowing, what is my body holding? Because I want to do something about it. I want to help it. This was Kelsey. So Kelsey grew up with a mother. Her mother had alcohol issues and created a lot of chaos. And so Kelsey grew up as the people pleaser. She was the quiet, invisible one, but became the responsible one, absorbing all the chaos, trying to make sure her brother was okay, making sure that she was okay, making sure that they had the meals for school, making sure that her mom wasn't driving the car off the road. And guess what? She developed a chronic illness by the time she went to college, but it also showed up in chronic pain in her muscles from sports injuries. And it really wasn't until she had kids that prompted her to say, I want to do something different. She didn't know that her thyroid condition was a sign of trauma biology. She just knew that she wanted to be a better mom. But she had so much more to discover. So we've already gone over signs that my body has trauma biology. We're coming to understand the big difference between stress biology and shutdown or trauma, and why this is so important, because this is what makes us sick. This is what gives us chronic illness, because it puts our nervous system into a place of shutdown, and that's what drives our entire biology. And so to help the body go through its process, there is a sequence. And those of us who recognize that we have had some attachment pains or attachment wounds, that is one of the biggest drivers for our body to be in shutdown. And so that is something that we need to explore. And we don't do that before we have the skills to learn how to come out of shutdown. Let's do another exercise, because I want to leave you with some skills. And as we come to this one, I invite you to take something and just cover your stomach. I've got a shawl over here. Maybe you have a pillow, maybe you have a blanket, maybe you have a purse, a book. I'm not sure that it matters because our stomach is actually a place that holds a lot of emotion. Did you know that? Our stomach is a place that holds a lot of emotion, and it can brace in order to try to hold it and protect us. And so we're going to just cover it up. That's all we need to do, is just cover it up with whatever you have. And when you do that, just notice, where does it like to be covered? Do you want to cover the whole entire thing? Do you just want to cover the upper part above the belly button? Does it feel better to cover the lower part? For me, I'm noticing right now that it's definitely my stomach likes it better when I cover the upper part above my belly button. How do I know that? Oh, because there's a really deep spontaneous breath for me. All you need to know is just, hey, does this feel better or does this feel better? So move it around to find what feels best. And that's it. Doesn't need to be any more complicated than that. And when we pause here, and we need to pause because the message needs time to get back up the vagus nerve to our brain to register change that's happened. And as we pause, I'm noticing some things happening. I'm noticing, for example, that my shoulders feel like they're dropping. My shoulders feel like they're relaxing. Oh, there's another. Oh, breath and yawn. So that, again, is a message for me that my body is shifting to a place of just feeling safer. Ooh, I'm getting some stomach gurgles. Isn't that interesting? You might be getting some stomach gurgles. Others get more stomach burps. That's always a message from our body as well. You might be noticing that it seems like your stomach is just softening. Rather than holding everything tightly, it's just softening a bit. This is a beautiful way to access the wisdom as we create a specific sensation, right? This one is creating a felt sense of safety for our stomach as we protect it. And it's supporting our stomach because our stomach is holding so much that it feels like it has to brace in order to protect us. So when we come in and we say, you know what, take a break, I'll protect you. Just by covering it up with something, I'll protect you. Then there's all these messages that will come up. It's so fascinating. It's so interesting. I want to circle back and answer your question, Jessica. When your nervous system crosses that critical line of overwhelm, it creates physical changes in our biology at the cellular level. So that energy drain is not just emotional. It sounds like the sequence to safely open up is not being followed, and the therapy sessions are actually causing your body to be overwhelmed. If you're looking for more guidance on following the science and the sequence for safe trauma healing that doesn't trigger your physical health symptoms, I have resources for you in the show notes. I will include the link to my book, The Biology of Trauma, How the Body Experiences and Holds Fear, Pain, and Overwhelm, and How to Heal. And at the time of this recording, it is in pre-order stage, and you can also join the Insider Circle where I'm doing live monthly readings. I'll include the link to my Essential Sequence Guide where I've packed all of this information about the 3 steps to this essential sequence, why these are the 3 steps, and how to follow them. I have some related podcast episodes like episode 33. This was on when trauma is hijacking your body, and it was on the 3 pillars. The 3 pillars essential for safely opening up. This was with one of the practitioners in my training certificate program, Jude Weber. And episode 108, it was on how the body stores emotional trauma in the fascia and lymphatic system with Dr. Christine Schaffner. Have a YouTube video on why feeling safe is essential for healing the body. You can check that out. I'll have the link to that in the show notes as well. If you're ready to actually get started and take action, then I'll include the link to my 21-day journey where you can join and have me guide you through the essential sequence with 21 days of structured somatic self-practices that you can learn for yourself or apply in your work in those you help. I am here to save you time and money by bringing you practical information that will help you accelerate the trauma healing journey. So please take a moment to subscribe or leave a review if you've already subscribed. Your reviews and feedback are how I know how to improve this podcast, bring you great content, and help others find the information that could change their life as well. I'm your host, Dr. Aimie. Until next episode, lots of love.